Ms. Jacobs, you claim that your world was shattered just after your 14th birthday when your dad suddenly up and disappeared.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today you say you've brought him to our courtroom to demand answers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Walker, you claim you'd always believed Ms. Jacobs was your biological daughter. Then on her 14th birthday, you overheard a conversation that changed everything.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Walker, tell me, what happened on your daughter's 14th birthday?
On her 14th birthday, Your Honor, we were outside celebrating with 4th of July. I heard an argument inside the house. So I go in to see what's going on, and my ex-wife, her mother, and her sister was in there, and she was screaming at her mother like, well, she was drinking, so she was being belligerent and stuff. She's like, well, you know there's a chance they're not his kids, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to tell him, but I had done slipped in and was standing right behind her and overheard all of it. So.
And what did you say? What did you do next?
I asked her, I said, why? Why would you do it now, 14 years later, at her party, when we're supposed to be having a good time with her birthday, and you wait 14 years later to drag it out?
Wow. And then what happens at that point? The relationship ended. You ended the relationship.
That's correct.
So wait, Ms. Jacobs, did you overhear or know all of this was going on at your 14th birthday party?
No, I actually just seen him walk out of the house. He was really angry, so I didn't understand what was going on at all. So after that, we ended up being put in foster care. And when I was in foster care, my father had left, and we were in Florida at the time. He ended up moving to Ohio. I was a big daddy's girl growing up, so I started to feel abandoned, like he just ran off and left me. So I actually have a letter here from where I took, and I wrote it when I was 14, when my dad actually left.
Can you read that for the court, please?
I can. It says, Dad, I wish you never left. It really sucks that you're not here. Every night I pray that you come back. Sometimes I even pretend that what it would be like if you were still here. I don't know when I'm ever going to see you again, and it hurts. I'm kind of angry about it too. Why did you ever leave me? Why did you abandon us? Abandon me, of all people. I want this to all be a dream, but it's not. I don't understand why you moved to Ohio and had to leave us behind. You were my hero, and every girl needs a hero. Don't you want us anymore?
And you wrote that letter to your dad?
Yes, Your Honor.
At the time you wrote that letter, did you know your father at that time didn't know whether he was truly your biological father?
No, Your Honor.
You had no idea?
I didn't understand until I was 16 years old. It was really hard. I actually ended up getting pregnant when I was 16 just to be emancipated.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you got pregnant on purpose?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's obvious that you were looking for the family you didn't have.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Walker, you had no idea your daughter was going through all of this?
No, Your Honor. The foster care, she went to foster care because I had a job, and when I threw her mother out because of all that coming out at her birthday party, I set her mother out. I had enough. Your Honor, I went through it all through, even before her and I got married. There was times that my family would come to me. I was over the road truck driver, so I was not home all the time. My family would come to me and say, hey, we lived in a mobile home. He'd say he'd walk around and hear him in there having intersexual relations. And I would confront her with it, and I'd say, look, as my significant partner, I should be able to trust you, so I'm asking you, did this happen? She's like, no, you know they're just trying to do it to break us up because our family don't get along. They don't want you with me. And I was like, okay, you know, that's fine, you know. And I took her at her word. I knew I could be faithful, so why would I call her a liar?
So, did you ever actually catch her cheating?
I did at one time. She told me I could go visit my brother, and she was going to go visit her mother. Well, And I called her a few hours later at her mother's house, and her mother answered the phone, and I said, is she there? And she's like, well, no, she ain't been here all day. I said, she's supposed to be at your house. And so I needed her to watch the children so I could go to work. So I go out looking for her, and I start out at the Walmart where I normally know that she goes, and I caught a guy down there that I knew worked with her at her job. And I asked him if he had seen her. He's like, well, no, she's probably hanging out with this guy that she's always meeting after work here in the parking lot. And I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, her and him, they've been sexually in a relationship now for about 4 months.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
He says, you know where he lives? I'm like, no, I don't know where he lives. So he said, well, I'll give it to you. He wrote the address down. I said, I don't even know how to get there. And he said, I'll give you directions. I went down, and when I got to the house, I knocked on the door, and she was sitting in on the couch. They were all drinking. It was just her and 5 other guys.
You get to this house, and your wife is inside with 5 other guys.
Yes, Your Honor.
Drinking.
Yes, Your Honor. When
Continue.
she should be home helping me with the kids. So I looked past him through the doorway, and I said, you need to get your butt home so you can watch the children and I can go to work. And she come out all mad. We were still arguing all the way home. So when we get there, she still wanted to fight about it. And I told her, I said, what were you even doing down there? And then I confronted her about the Walmart thing from her friend saying that they've been in a relationship ever since she started working there. And of course she denied all that. And I'm like, well, then why did I catch you at the dude's house drinking beer with 4 other guys and him? So how are you going to deny that when I catch you at it? She's like, well, we weren't having sex. I'm like, well, okay, I can blow that off, you know, because they weren't doing nothing other than sitting and drinking beer. So I believed her at that once again. Then probably about 2 weeks later, I went to work, and I come home, and her bags were gone. She had done packed and moved out. So once I found out where she was at this guy's house. She had moved in with him.
Really?
Yes.
So, Ms. Jacobs, had you ever heard any rumors that Mr. Walker may not be your biological father?
Yes. When I was 16, I told my mother that I didn't want to be around anymore, that I wanted my dad to come down for my daughter's birth, her birth. I had her when I was 17. And when my mom found out, she was like, I don't know why you would want him to be there. He's not your real father anyways. That means he's not her grandfather. And that's when I looked at her. I kept her out of the birthing room when I gave birth to my daughter.
Really?
Yes.
So had you heard rumors about her cheating?
I seen it myself.
As a young child?
I was 5 years old.
What
Yeah.
did you see exactly?
My dad was at work, my mom was home, and a family member of mine came over to the house. They ended up taking a shower together. I went into the bathroom, I was like, Mom, what are you doing? She goes, I'm just getting a shower, go away. So I went into the living room, I was watching TV, I was watching cartoons, I'm a little 5-year-old. So I went, and when they came out of the bathroom, they went into the bedroom. And I walked back. I was like, Mom, I'm hungry. She goes, go lay down for a little bit. We're going to sleep. So again, it was my family member. As soon as my dad got home from work, I let my dad know. He confronted her. She told him that I was lying. I was making up stories. And my dad looked at her and was like, I don't understand how you think a 5-year-old has the time to sit around and make up stories about adult content.
So this was a family member of your father's?
Yes.
So when they came over, you knew who it was?
Yes. Yes, Your
Mr.
Honor,
Walker? You remember this incident?
I do, Your Honor. I do. I came home, like I said, I drove truck for many years of my life, and I had come home to my daughter meeting me at the door. She said, Daddy, he's supposed to take shower with Mommy? He's supposed to take naps with Mommy? I'm like, well, no. She's like, he was, Daddy. He took shower with Mommy. So I did confront her mother with it, and her mother's like, she's a 5-year-old. You're going to believe everything a 5-year-old says? Oh, yeah. And I told her, I said, where does a 5-year-old even have time to sit and think
capacity to
something for an adult?
Yes.
And she's not thinking nothing about an adult way. She's thinking how to play with her Barbies or something.
Yes. And so now, as you stand here, do you believe any of these men we've discussed could potentially be Ms. Jacobs' father?
I think it's possible, Your Honor, because years later on down the road, her mother did admit to sleeping with several of my family members. When I took her to court, Your Honor, the only thing she wanted in the divorce was the property and the contents of the house. And I said, give me my kids, you can have everything, anything you want. I brought the divorce papers with me to back that up as evidence.
Jerome, will you please hand that to me?
I've done nothing but fight for these kids, Your Honor. I love my children. My children are my world. And the state that they moved into believed they were a mommy state. And because she kept calling my work and telling them that I was on drugs repeatedly, me being a truck driver, I had to go do drug testing at the company's expense. They let me go after the 8th time because they no longer could afford to keep sending me for the drug test that kept coming back negative.
And so, Mr. Walker, this evidence that you submitted to the court, all of the pleas, paperwork, documents related to the years that you fought to get your children.
Yes, ma'am.
You are fighting for these children.
Ever since
not even knowing if they're truly biologically yours.
Biologically or not, Your Honor, these are always my children.
Ms. Jacobs, did you know as all of this was transpiring, did you know any of this was going on?
No, Your Honor. The entire time my mom was telling me that he abandoned me and he didn't want me anymore.
That's a lie, Your Honor. Her mother did nothing but feed all my children lies. I got paperwork on top of paperwork to show them when they came to me asking me for results. I could show them in paperwork and let them read for themselves so they can't say, Dad, you lied to me, because I'm proving it to them. I'm giving them the paperwork, letting them read it, letting them see the hell I went through with this woman.
So, Ms. Jacobs, hearing your father, the man you believe is your father, hearing his testimony, how does that make you feel?
I mean, when I actually just got back in contact with my father after 5 years just a month ago.
Really?
Yes. So he did show me all the paperwork and everything like that. I felt horrible. I really did, because I told him I wanted nothing to do with him. Wow. So I felt like the most horriblest daughter on the face of the earth. I felt like I didn't deserve to be around my dad at that point in time.
I knew she felt pain, Your Honor. So when she told me I was the most horrible parent she had ever met in her life, I didn't hold that to heart. I knew she was in pain and she needed to vent. I wasn't there to feed her a stack of lies and wasn't going to feed her a stack of lies just so she would hate her mother. I've tried to raise my children right. I love my children. I gave them all the love I could ever give them. I put her through college. I put her through modeling school. I think I've done my best. I am a real hard-working family man. I love my family.
Ms. Jacobs, do you believe you are Mr. Walker's biological daughter?
Yes, Your Honor.
You do?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Walker, I have to ask you, what are your other doubts?
All my doubts together goes all the way back to in my childhood. I was probably 6, 7, maybe 8. My mother, my grandmother, all of them would tell me, because I can't remember back that far into my own childhood. I didn't have a real great childhood. They told me back in those younger years I had the mumps. And back then they believed if you had the mumps as a male, if they dropped and you would be sterile. Well, they didn't want you bouncing around and stuff like that. Well, I was a young kid, so I did a lot of bouncing. I did a lot of jumping, a lot of playing. The mumps had so-called fallen, and our medical physician for the family told them I would never be able to give my parents grandchildren. Everything, you know, I never questioned her. I never called her a cheater. I never asked her, hey, are you sure that's my kid? I didn't ask that. I'm like, wow, I'm going to be a dad. It's the best thing in the world to feel after being told all your life you're never going to have no kids.
Jerome, I think it's time for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Jacobs v. Walker, when it comes to the paternity of Miss Iesha Jacobs, Mr. Walker, you are Iesha's father.
I love you.
Now, before I go to these results, in the court file, it is indicated, Mr. Weatherspoon, you brought another case because you questioned paternity of her 1-month-old son, Elijah, as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when I say paternity issues repeat themselves until they are resolved, that's the truth. How do we get to the point where a 1-month-old baby, another baby, has a question of paternity over its head? You don't know if this baby is yours either?
No, Your Honor, I do not. I do not know if that.
So tell me how this started.
Well, Your Honor, this all started, I actually had sex with her actually one time. Throughout this time, you know, we was broken up or whatever, but I had no clue that she was seeing a guy from work. She never mentioned that to me. So, you know what I'm saying? My man, I don't know what my man was. I came over one time, we talked. It was the heat of the moment type thing, and it happened. You know what I'm saying? But whole time she was in a relationship with another guy.
I wasn't in a relationship with the other guy.
Yeah, no, she got this thing with just putting babies on me and just telling me babies is mine.
Well, you the one sleeping with her.
Yeah, I mean, I slept with her at a point, but at the end of the day, you already in a relationship with somebody else.
I'm not in a
So you
relationship with
bypassing
nobody
this
else.
relationship that you're in, that you having sex with a guy on a constant basis to a guy that you slept with one time.
But at this point, you're broken up. How do you know she's with somebody else?
She admitted it to me. It was times where I came to
never
pick up
admitted that
Cameron,
to you.
Yana, and I knocked on the door. I've been outside for maybe 5 minutes. I can hear feet inside the house.
You never saw that.
You hear what?
I can hear feet running inside the house like somebody looking out the window.
Feet.
Yeah,
Feet.
feet. I can hear feet outside.
Feet, honey.
You know what I'm
But so
saying?
you just assume
like
that it's
somebody
the guy
was
that I'm
running
cheating
trying to
with.
hide. Like they was running trying to hide.
Could that be the children?
Oh no, you know children's foots from grown men feet.
Oh, these were heavy,
man.
Yeah, they was
heavy
heavy- yeah, they
feet.
was heavy feet.
Were you sleeping with a coworker, Miss Ferguson?
Yes, I did sleep with a coworker. But when he came to my house, that wasn't even a coworker that I was sleeping with.
Oh, so it's another guy.
It was a whole nother guy. He never even saw the coworker. So I don't understand why he studied throwing that up in there. That wasn't even him.
So there were other men at your house.
Yeah, but it was only one man at my house.
So why was he running through the house when he not
It wasn't him running. It wasn't him
So
running.
why did it take so long for you to open the door?
I thought it was Aaron, Serena Center or something. I didn't even know. I didn't even think it was you.
Your Honor, when I finally get
But when
into-
I realized that it was actually him at the door, that's when I opened the door.
When I finally get into the house, the man sitting on the couch looking at me like he run the show. You know what I'm saying? So I asked her, where is my son? She said he's in the back. So I asked her to go get him. I get him, I leave. I called her later on that day and told her, you still doing it. You still bringing men around my son. And that's when
The
she
kids
pretty
weren't
much
even
admitted
around.
to me that she was messing with another coworker.
Kids was in the room.
And so by the time baby Elijah's born, You don't believe he's your child either, but you do admit you slept with her that one time.
Yeah, that one
time. With no
time.
protection.
With no protection. She just got a thing with saying that I'm the father. I actually got evidence, Your Honor.
Let me see this evidence. Jerome, will you hand me that, please?
Proving that every time something...
What is this evidence, Mr. Weatherspoon?
Every time she's in the situation, she texts me when she get herself in a situation and try to pin the baby on me.
All right,
But
so
why
let's
would I
see what
wanna
these
do that?
text
You ain't
messages
nobody.
say. So in your mind, she's dating somebody else, so you get these text messages that say, from Miss Ferguson, what we doing about this baby? And you write back, I don't know what you're talking about. Miss Ferguson says, the baby that I'm pregnant with, which is your child. And you text back, LMFAO.
Like it's a joke. I was trying to figure out what was funny about
So
it.
Miss Ferguson says, so this situation is a joke to you? And you write back, no, it's just funny you putting a baby on me once again.
This man.
So Miss Ferguson sends a video that looks like your belly.
Yes.
And you send back, for real, who baby is that? Then you write back, Miss Ferguson, Cordero, stop playing with me.
For real.
For real, this is your blanking son.
Yes.
Good Lord. All that going on over text
Yes.
because he's denying this baby again.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so during the window of conception, we need to find out what in the world's going on.
I submitted a calendar.
I would like to see that calendar. So in October, you indicate you were intimate with Mr. Weatherspoon.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that was one time
One time.
during the month of October.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And now in the red, you found out 3 months later you were pregnant with Elijah in January.
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you find out you were pregnant?
Cordero actually told me that I looked pregnant. And once he told me that I looked pregnant, I took a pregnancy test. But I was still having periods. So it kind of, I wasn't really sure was I pregnant or not. But I mean, I really did have a pudge. So I did a pregnancy test and it was positive. I ended up going to the ER and they did an ultrasound and I was 13 weeks pregnant.
You found out you were 13 weeks pregnant.
Yes,
Now, when was Elijah born?
July 10th.
You say you were intimate with your coworker when?
The end of November, beginning of December.
So November, so we count back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you got October is when you identified that you were intimate with Mr. Weatherspoon. And in your mind, Mr. Weatherspoon would be
The father.
Elijah's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You counted back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I object that calendar because it's completely wrong, and she knows it. Your Honor,
How is it completely wrong?
Your Honor, the woman was actually due in August. So if you count back from her original due date in August, I don't know.
So you are saying Miss Ferguson was actually due in August?
I
Yes,
was
Your
due
Honor.
August 1st.
Okay.
So it really isn't a big difference.
So, yeah, she was actually due in August. I don't know what persuade that date to make her have that baby in July, but she was actually due in August. So if you count back from the date from August, you get November. So where's...
And that's when she said she was intimate with the other guy.
Exactly.
So
But I had
November,
Elijah 2 weeks early.
other guy.
I had Elijah 2 weeks early, Your Honor. 2 weeks. I had him at 38,
Well,
37 weeks.
we can't predict when babies are due. That's why they give us a window of conception. But when a baby's early and you slept with 2 different men in a span of 1 month's time, that is what we call a paternity question. Did you ever tell the other guy about the baby?
Yeah, I told him when I first found out I was pregnant
Why?
because I didn't want to talk to him no more if I was pregnant with another man baby.
How do
Okay,
know
so
what's
you
my
say
baby?
you told him just to break it off
Yeah,
with
just
him.
to break it off
Are you
with him.
sure you weren't telling him because it was a possibility that
No,
he
Your
could be the biological father?
No, Your Honor, I just didn't. I just wanted to break it off with him because I knew it wasn't his baby.
And so do you know where this guy is? If in fact Mr. Weatherspoon is determined to not be Elijah's biological father.
Yes, he's back in Chicago.
And when she said that, I can just see the grimace on your face, Mr. Weatherspoon.
She know this man every movement. So she, in her mind, she know that it's a strong possibility that that baby belongs to that guy. You know what I'm saying? She actually told that guy before she told me she was pregnant.
Really? Miss
I don't recall that.
Ferguson.
I don't recall that.
How do you know that, Mr. Weatherspoon?
Because she told me, because look, when I told her that she looked at pregnant, she did go take a pregnancy test. But I asked her, I said, did you tell that guy? She said, yeah, I already told him. So that's how I knew she had told him before she told me.
That's a lie. I never said that.
That's what she told me on the phone.
I
She
never
said, I
said
already talked to him and I already told him. And I'm not gonna lie, I asked her, can I talk to that guy? Because I want to know if she really told him.
He even
for real.
talked to the man. The man even told him that we only did something one time and that was it. He even talked to
The man was
himself.
trying to lie to get out the situation. And I can tell I told her, don't say nothing to the man till I get there. That's what I told her. She already hurried up and called that man and coached that man before I got there.
I didn't coach
I
him.
asked her, I said, did you talk to this man before I came? She
I
said
didn't.
no.
So has
didn't
the
coach
other
him.
man ever met Elijah?
No, Your Honor. He have not.
Have you seen Elijah? He's just 1 month old.
I just saved him right there on that screen.
That's the first time you've seen him.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Actually, she had called me, which I really did still get a good look at him. She had no ride from the hospital at this moment, and I feel sorry for her because, you know, I got my first son with her, so I'm not gonna leave her out bogus. She needed a ride back. From where we was at, they don't let you leave the hospital with your child unless you have a car seat in the car to take him home.
That is correct.
So I came up there, picked her up, you know what I'm saying, and I dropped her off at her destination.
And you saw the baby that day.
No,
Yes.
he didn't.
But you didn't
I really
participate in.
He didn't
I
really
really
see
didn't
him.
see him because, you know, his face was kind of covered, but I looked back and took a glance.
You know, Ms. Ferguson, you've been very matter of fact throughout this hearing. Everything Mr. Weatherspoon says, you crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, you this, you that. But I have to say, as a mother, I mean, you've now had 3 children in the span of 4 years. And you're raising these children by yourself.
Yes, Your Honor.
2 of which, the man you say is the biological father doesn't participate, won't help, and denies.
Nice, yeah.
That has to hurt.
It does.
What does it feel like going through that?
I just feel like I'm all alone, and I just feel like I'm a failure sometimes to my kids because I feel like my kids deserve a father. Sometimes I take the blame because I know I was wrong. I'm not sitting here trying to put it all up on him. It was both of us. But I feel like him doing the kids like that, I just feel like that's a whole nother level. Whatever me and him going through, he shouldn't put the kids up in it.
You put the kids in it.
How did I put the kids?
Because if you would have never surrounded yourself around certain men and had intercourse with those men and had sex with me, maybe we'll know what's going on. But see, you wanna do something with another man and then do something with me, and it leaves us all confused. And that's not right. So that's why I say I feel like she's the reason why we even in this predicament. Don't have sex with me knowing you in a relationship.
I wasn't in a relationship.
Well, you having sex with
But
two guys.
Mr. Weatherspoon, I hope you do know you have a large part to play in this, okay? And it kills me. I mean, Jerome, I ain't never seen too many people. I mean, these 2 don't agree on one thing.
2 different
But
stories.
possibly having all these babies. You haven't agreed on one thing in an hour. But steady, possibly making babies and bringing babies in the world. It's ridiculous. So while I appreciate the fact that Ms. Ferguson's sexual practices they're important to us finding out the paternity issues, please don't think I believe you were innocent in this. I'm ready for the results, Jerome. Hand me the results. The first result is for Aiden. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Weatherspoon versus Ferguson, when it comes to 3-year-old Aiden Ferguson, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Weatherspoon, you are the father. You truly look shocked. That little boy you've been ignoring, that's your son.
Feels good.
And what are you thinking? I see your mind racing. I can see it behind your eyes. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but it's her fault.
It's my fault.
It's her fault.
You're not angry at her, you're angry at yourself. In moments like this, there's a young boy who's 3 years old, whose father has admittedly neglected him. That was your choice. You can't change what Miss Ferguson did. What I'm not gonna let you do is put it all on her. You know you slept with her. So you were a possibility. We have another result. This result is for Elijah. In the case of Weatherspoon versus Ferguson, when it comes to 1-month-old Elijah Ferguson, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Weatherspoon, you are the father.
You know now.
Are you all right?
What am I tell them kids? I've been missed out on one of them for 3 years. I wasn't there for this one. What I'm gonna tell them kids?
You just gotta be there for him now.